Okay, so let's get started. So the title of this presentation is called A Guide to Strength and Flexibility for Those Over 55. And so you all know I am 50, so I do know what we need to do. Oh, bless your heart, you're my new best friend. But I just turned 50, my son is now 18, I've been married for 20 years, so this is something that I think I've earned the right to tell you all that I know the struggles as I'm getting older too. So it's one of those things where we just have to do things that are more comfortable. The idea of this presentation is not to give you the answers for each one of you for your strength and your flexibility. The idea is to give you building blocks to allow you to do what it is that you want. Okay, so some of you may like to dance. Some of you may like to walk. Others of you may be able to hike up mountains and things. So, but the idea is not to cookie cut an exercise program for each one of you, because each one of you is going to be able to do something different. So my plan is to help you to learn things that are going to allow you to do what things that it is that you want to do. So the first thing, that before you do any type of activity, I like to say, what do you do now? What can you do now? So if you can do Zumba, then keep doing Zumba. If you can garden and you're doing all the grunt work, then keep doing that. It doesn't mean that you have to stop anything because you want to do. And then what do you want to do? So if you're doing Zumba now, but you would like to be able to do the treadmill, or you would like to be able to swim a little bit better, or if you're swimming and you would like to do some gardening comfortably, then those are the kinds of things that we think about. How are you going to plan your activity? Okay? And then how are you doing it? So if you're doing it with some accommodations, or if you're doing it when you have to sit to do your activity, or are you doing it when you're in the gym, how are you doing your activity, and then how do you want to do it? And those are the things that we have to think about, that we have to individualize for each one of you. And please let me know if I'm speaking too fast as well. I try not to, but it's a habit. So first, let's talk about the building blocks. So the first thing that you really want to do is know your limits. So if you know when you're gardening that you can do it for 20 minutes, or you're not going to be able to move the next day, then set yourself that goal of doing 20 minutes. And then we can build on it from there. If you know that when you're doing Zumba, there are certain moves that you can't do, know what your limits are, right? So that you can take those activities out while still allowing yourself to do your exercise. You also want to plan your next move. So if any of you have children, you know that when you went to take a shower, you'd have to make sure your child was taken care of before you went to take a shower. It's kind of the same thing with your activity now. You have to plan what you're going to do. So if you go to the grocery store and that you know that you have a big bag that has milk and things that are heavier in it, you have to plan how you're going to move that bag how are you going to move it from the trunk to your house without hurting yourself, okay? And you start with your base. So the base being your feet and your midline, okay? Those are all your base. So how are we going to move from A to B and make sure that everything is in the right position before you move? And those are the things that I want to talk to you about today. Your core is the most important thing to think about. How many of you here do Pilates or have done Pilates in the past? So several of you. And what do you think of it?
It was great. Stretched my neck.
It stretched your neck. Perfect. And what did you find challenging about it?
I did have some pain afterwards.
Okay. Was it pain in that you worked a little bit, or was it pain in that it was not something that was good for you?
Pain that I worked a little bit.
Okay. So Pilates and yoga, those type of activities are fantastic for your core. But if we talk about what your core is your midline. And that's where all of your stability comes from. Is anybody here a baseball fan? Nobody. Well, if any of you ever seen a baseball pitch a ball, most of their power generation comes from their midline and from their backside, right? So it doesn't come just from their arm. It comes from everything that happens in their midline. It's the same thing with stability. It's the same thing with how am I going to get from A to B. It comes all from your core, which is right between the lower part of your chest down to the middle part of your leg, okay? And we'll talk more about that as we go. The most important thing is to move. So it doesn't matter what movements you're doing, it doesn't matter what programs you're doing, as long as you're moving. And that's the most important thing that you can do, because that's what we need to do in order to get through every single day, right? And make it fun. The other thing that you can do is make it more time-based. So if you get frustrated by saying, I can't do 3 sets of 10, then you can set yourself a time limit of let's do things for 30 seconds at a time, which will allow you mentally to be able to do the exercises in a way that's beneficial for you without getting too frustrated with, I can't do 10, so I'm just not going to do it, right? So if a turtle can do yoga, I think we can find something that's going to make sense for all of you, okay? So let's talk about your core a little bit. So if you look at the first picture here, this is perfect posture, right? This is going to be your most stable position. So when you're in a straight position with your head, your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and your ankles all in one line. That's a perfect, strong position. If you take a look here, did any of you watch the gymnastics this summer? Did you watch the Olympics? The Olympics? Do you notice what they do after everything that they do? They put their arms up and they arch their back. And almost every single one of them are going to have back problems when they get older because of the position they have to be in. So when their hips are facing forward, if there's an anterior tilt in their pelvis, that puts a little bit extra pressure on their spine, okay? It's the same thing when you're not an athlete, okay? And you've seen people who walk a little bit more with their hips forward, okay? So that rotation is not super comfortable or good for your spine either. So our goal for any movement that you do is going to be in a good position, okay? So what we need to do, so when I talk about cheats, okay, how we cheat for positioning is finding your neutral position, okay? So when you're sitting, I'm going to ask all of you to do this in your chairs, okay? Start with your feet flat onto the floor. You're going to sit up nice and tall. You can sit with your back rested, or you can sit a little bit forward onto your chair. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to slouch for me. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to arch your back. Okay, now I want you to find a position right in the middle of those two positions, and that's comfortable for you. Can you all feel that? That's your neutral position. There's no measurement that I can say you have to go 5 degrees this way. It's your neutral. Okay, so not too far forward, not too far backward, right in the middle. And then you're going to hold that position by using these muscles around your abdominal area by making this noise with a T and an S together. Okay, can you feel that? If you put your hand right onto your belly, you can feel as soon as you make it, and it sounds like a leaking balloon. If you're in the grocery store, people are going to think there's a snake behind them. But that's the perfect position for you. Okay, and then relax. So that's the first thing you want to do before you do any movement that you're not sure about. If you're picking up your grandchild, right? You get into a good position, you arch, you tuck, you find your position, make that noise, engage those muscles, and then pick up your grandchild, right? And that's a better, stable, more stable position for you that's going to protect your spine and all the rest of your joints. The other thing you want to talk about is your base. Okay, so that is your neutral position in your core. Okay, the base that we're talking about is strong base. Did anybody ever do any martial arts or do Tai Chi or anything now? Okay, perfect. So anybody else do martial arts? Okay, so if you've ever watched boxing, okay, you see that their position is with a nice wide base. So their feet is wide and you have one foot slightly in front of the other. Okay, and if you want to try this, go ahead and stand up. Okay, so if you stand up, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to stand up and put your feet side by side, a little bit close together, okay, and then try swaying just a little bit. You feel like if you push too hard, you're going to fall over, right? Now what I want you to do is spread your feet apart, a little bit wider than your hips, put one foot in front of the other, and now try and sway a little bit. Do you feel like you're going to fall over now? You feel stronger. Right? So if you can't put your feet wide, if you can't put your feet one foot in front of the other, the wider your base, the more stable you are. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do the splits. It just means that a little bit wider is going to give you that more stable base and allow you to find your neutral position a little bit easier. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, Now when you can sit if you want to, thank you. When you are going to sit, one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're bending at your waist and not just, or bending at your hips and your waist instead of at your knees. Okay, so the first thing that hits the chair is going to be your backside. So you start with your hips and bend your knees at the same time. So now that you're in a good position, you can sit backwards that way. Another little cheat thing that you can think about too is even groceries. So you've got your groceries out of the back of your car, you've got them into the kitchen. Now you need to put them away. Okay? Keep heavy things close to your body. Okay? That's another thing that we can talk about as far as we go on to, especially if you're lifting weights or anything like that. You want to make sure that you keep all those heavy things closer to your body, because it's going to keep your spine safe, your shoulders safe, and everything else. And if you have the option to push or pull, you actually are stronger if you're pulling, okay, because of the amount of muscles that you have that are going to engage and be able to keep things a little bit more stable for you. And the last thing, again, these are all cheater tabs. So if I'm going too fast, please let me know. So if you're lifting, say you're lifting a box of rice from the counter and you have to put it onto the top shelf, okay? Even just that positioning can be a little bit challenging, okay? So if you have the option to put your foot onto a step or something to allow you to transition a little bit easier, having your foot propped up on something makes you a little bit stronger and a little bit more stable, okay? So again, these are all little cheater tabs that or little cheater tricks that I've given you so that whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's Zumba, whether it's yoga, whatever it is, you can now be able to start to think about how you want to position yourself before you move. Any questions right now? Okay. So now we'll put all these together instead of it's just sounding like it's a bunch of random things to keep you safe. Now let's put it into practice. So the one question that I get the most is, what is the best exercise to keep me mobile and to keep me strong? And the answer is walking. Okay? Walking is good for your heart. It's good for your mobility. It's good for your muscles. It's good for your blood pressure. It's what we need to do to get from the bed to the bathroom, from the bathroom to the kitchen. This is one of the best exercise that you can find that's going to help keep you mobile. Again, staying within your limits to make sure that you're comfortable. Some people are not comfortable on a treadmill. Other people are. Okay? If you're not comfortable outside, then a treadmill is a good option for you. If the treadmill makes you a little bit dizzy or you don't feel stable, then walking outside is a better option for you too, okay? There's so many exercises that we can talk about. What I want to be able to do is, now that we've given you a few building blocks, I want to have you do a couple things just to give you an example. Yes, ma'am? Are you talking about outside? Or are you talking about, okay. So the question was, is it better to walk with a walker, or is it as beneficial to walk with a walker? And I think the answer is going to be, it depends on how stable you feel. If you feel unstable without a walker, absolutely, use your walker. Does that answer your question for you? Or what is it you're concerned about with using a walker? Absolutely. So understanding a little bit better, if you have limitations because of arthritis or because of an injury or, say, a surgery, walking with a walker is a great idea to get your entire body moving. What I would probably recommend is working with your physician, obviously, but finding exercises that you can do that do not involve your walker so that you can help to build the strength and the stability of your ankle while doing the walking with your walker as well. And then you can wean yourself away from it, but at the same time, what we don't want to do is to have you fall either. So there are going to be several cases where you may or may not be comfortable walking without your walker. And that's fine, but like I said, the other thing that might be good for you is to walk in a pool. So using the shallow end, pool therapy is fantastic. So using the shallow end, just to walk back and forth, is a great way to get that same motion with less impact. So there's lots of ways that we can adjust your activity to suit you and your limitations. Does that help a little bit better? Yes. Okay. So what I do want to do is I want to give you all a few exercises to try, okay? The reason I'm giving you these exercises will be because they're foundational. Okay, so there are things that pretty much anybody can do. If you have limitations, you're waiting for a shoulder replacement, you're waiting for a hip replacement. If you're not comfortable, please don't do these exercises. If you are comfortable, let's take you through a few things, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this microphone down and I'm going to talk real loud so everybody can hear me, okay? If you can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll pick the microphone back up, okay? All right. I've never had the problem with people telling me I'm too quiet. All right, so from here, this one is more for flexibility, okay? I like this. Ooh, I like my voice better without a microphone. This one is going to be great for your upper body postural muscles, okay? So when you get neck pain, shoulder pain, just achy, this is a fantastic exercise. And just to give you a little bit extra to feel it a little bit better. So what I'm going to have you do is you can go ahead and stay seated, okay? I call this one reach for the stars. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take your hands up over your head, perfect, as far as you're comfortable. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to pretend that you're going to push the ceiling up away from you. Okay, it just gives you that little extra stretch. Okay, and if you want to, you can move just to one side just a little bit. Bring your shoulders down, right back to the middle. Make sure you're breathing. Let's never hold your breath, okay? I hear everybody going, oh. Okay, go ahead and push back up and then reach back over to the other side. Perfect. Okay, and then right back up and then bring your shoulders down and then breathe out. Can you feel a little bit of a difference when you push, like you're pushing the ceiling away from you? Okay, so again, some of these stretches are just fine tuning and finding the right muscles. You got to know what it is that you want to stretch and find a way that you can make it comfortable for you. Okay, I see you doing this. Arthritic hands are a problem right now, aren't they? Yeah, absolutely. Especially with all the computer stuff we've had to do over the last couple of years, right? The next one I'm going to show you is my absolute, you're already doing it, that's great. It's my absolute favorite stretch to do. This gives me the most stress relief, okay? So I want you to grab your hands right in front of you, relax your shoulders out of your ears a little bit, and I want you to push forward just a little bit, not your whole body, just your shoulder blades. You should be able to feel that right between your shoulder blades. If you bring your hands down a little bit and then push forward, you can feel it up higher onto your traps up here, okay? And then relax backwards. Bring your hands up a little bit higher. Push forward again. You should be able to feel that down a little bit low between your shoulder blades, okay? If you push forward and bring to one side just a little bit, you can feel that in your shoulder blades there. Bring back to the middle. Push forward again. Rotate to the side just a little bit. Good. And then relax. Okay? I think a lot of people try and stretch those muscles between their shoulder blades by doing this, right? I can't feel that. I don't know about you, and a lot of times if you have an arthritic shoulder or you're having problems doing this one and you don't feel it, then this is a good stretch, okay? This one, again, for me, gives a lot of stress relief, okay? It's just pushing straight forward. Good. And then just relax. All right, now your next one is going to be just for your hamstrings, okay? This is a good one too. Generally, these are good stretches that are generic, that will help you with should be safe for pretty much anybody. Again, if you have any trouble, please don't do these, okay? So sit up a little bit taller, scooch to the edge of your chair. Perfect, you're already doing it too. From here, you're gonna put one leg out straight, sit up nice and tall. The trick with this one, put your foot on the ground. There you go, overachieving. Very good. Nice and tall here, and I just want you to lean your chest straight down. Now try not to round your back. Right now what we're trying to stretch is right in the back of your leg. Okay, this is a good hamstring stretch. Okay, a lot of times your hamstrings have a tendency to get a little bit tight and cause you some back pain. So this is a good stretch to avoid back pain and to keep your knees comfortable too. Okay, and then right back up. And then go ahead and switch legs there. And when you do these stretches, again, lean straight forward with your chest. So you bring your chest straight down. If you start to feel your back is rounding, then stop and come straight forward. As soon as you pull your hips in, you start to stretch those hamstrings a little bit, okay? As soon as you round, you're stretching your back. So we want to stretch your hamstrings with this one. Any stretch that you do, you should hold for about 20 seconds, okay? And make sure it's comfortable. If you feel pain, I want you to stop, okay? If you feel anything tingling, you stop. And then we go see your doctor and make sure everything's okay. All right, we're good there? Perfect. Another one this is another one of my favorite stretches because this is one of those muscles we don't talk enough about that does cause a lot of back pain, and that's the muscle that runs right through your glutes. Okay, it's called your piriformis. Starts in your lower back, goes through your backside, and attaches into your hips. As soon as that muscle gets tight, it changes the angle of your legs. Okay, so if you've seen people who almost stand like this, like a ballerina, you can almost guarantee that their piriformis is tight. Okay, if you're comfortable, if your hip is okay and your knee is okay with this stretch, go ahead and try sitting just like you are. You're going to cross, see my balance here. Just like this, and all I want you to do is press onto the knee that you've crossed over, right there. If you feel that stretch, just leave it there. Okay, and then again, back nice and tall, and lean forward just a little bit until you feel that into your bum. Now I'm going to stop because I can't stand on one foot too long. We'll talk about how that's important later. Perfect. And then go ahead and switch legs. We've got a very active group this time. Yes, ma'am. So if you've had absolutely. So the question was, if you've had a knee replacement and you're not comfortable pushing on your knee, can you alter it? And the answer is absolutely. If you're not comfortable with that one, we can find another way that's comfortable. You can do that same position laying onto your back, and you can put your knee, you can cross it over that way, or I can talk to you afterwards and have you find another way to do that. That's it. Perfect. Yeah, we'll find a way for that. Again, these are suggestions. But I think with a knee replacement, there's a way that we can find that's going to be comfortable for. Okay, absolutely. Okay, again, and like we said before, make sure that when you're doing anything, any stretch or any exercise, you need to breathe. As soon as you hold your breath, that's going to cause you all kinds of pain, and your body needs oxygen and keeps you from passing out too. Okay, so there are 4 exercises really that we can do that I call the building blocks of exercises that are going to help keep you stable and comfortable until for a very, very long time. Okay, this one, instead of calling it a squat, we're calling it bottoms up. Okay, just because I thought that was more fun. Okay, so I'm going to have everybody go ahead and stand for me, please. So now we're going to connect the dots of why we talked about having your feet wide, okay? Again, when you're squatting, you have to squat to get out of bed. You have to squat to put on your shoes. You have to squat to go downstairs on one leg, right? So the more we can keep you comfortable doing a controlled squat, the more comfortable you're going to be for your normal everyday activities. Are we still okay? You can all hear me back there? Excuse me. All right, so from here, nice wide base, okay? So at least hip width, if not a little bit more. Make sure you have the chair behind you so that if you feel unstable, that you have something to fall back onto. You can use a couch, you can use a chair, you can use your bed, okay? And a squat doesn't have to be as deep as this gentleman is going, okay? I don't even know if I could go down that far at this point. So from here, again, you're going to find your neutral position, okay? So you're going to tuck forward, you're going to tuck backward with your hips, find your position. Make your T and your S sound so you're nice and stable, okay? And then what we talked about before, bending at your hips and your knees, you're going to stick your bum out first. You still want to be able to see your toes, and you're going to sit backwards a little bit into your chair and then come straight back up, okay? Holding that, there you go, straight back up. Perfect. Perfect. Okay? So again, holding that position, sit your butt down first. I'm sorry, I can't think of a more polite word. Come right back up. Perfect. Again, nice and tight here. Keeping your shoulders up, sitting backwards, perfect. Good. And again, if you're not comfortable, don't do these. Okay? And also what we want to avoid is something that I call kissing knees. Okay? Your knees are not meant to kiss. Okay? We don't want them coming in towards each other. Okay? So make sure your knees are nice and wide. Not a super feminine exercise, but it works. Okay? Keeping your knees nice and wide and coming straight back and then coming straight back up. Good. Perfect. The other thing that you want that I'm seeing a little bit too is try and keep your body weight evenly distributed on both legs. Okay? So if you feel that you're leaning to one side, just be conscious of it. Tighten your core again, because that's where everything starts, is in the middle of your body. Okay? Your core is going to help support every movement that you're doing. If as you get to the bottom of your squat, you can't see your toes, stop and start over. Okay? The first thing that you do is you start a squat with your hips. So you're going to stick your hips backwards, still being able to see your toes, and then come straight back up. Good. Are we good? Any problems? No? We're good? Perfect. All right. Now everybody needs a rest, right? This is actually, I love this picture. This was my favorite picture in anatomy class. This is a picture of the perfect squat. Okay? This, now I don't expect you to get into that position, but you can see that the baby can still see his toes, right? His feet are shoulder width apart. His torso is upright. He's in a perfect position. Okay, so this is naturally a good position. Now, I don't expect anybody to be able to do this. Okay, but this is how we naturally start, is by in a good squat position. And then as time goes on, we undo everything that we were meant to do. It's okay. Don't worry, it's okay. That was actually good timing. It was mood music, right? All right, so this is another exercise that I think is fantastic for everybody. Again, if you're not comfortable, please don't do it. But I'll have you go ahead and stand up for me if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then don't. I'll have you put your fingers onto your chair, or scooch to the back of your chair, or to the side of your chair. I want your hand on something to start with this. And ma'am, you can use your walker, that's perfect. You can use your walker, that's fine. So from here, this is called the tandem stance, okay? As you're walking normally, right, you have to be on one leg at a time. So doing things that are in line is actually quite a good supportive exercise for you for long term. Okay, so what you want to do is, it's called your tandem stance. Now you can put your arms out, your fingers onto a couch or onto a table or onto a chair. Please put your fingers onto a chair so you don't fall over for the first one. You're going to put your right foot in front or your left foot, and then put it's my supermodel walk, okay? All 5'3" of me. You're going to put your heel to your toe, and all you're going to do is evenly distribute your weight, okay? So you feel like you don't have one. If you're back here, you're just kind of relaxing on your back foot. You're not really getting the best from this exercise. If you're all the way forward, it might be too hard. I want you to evenly distribute your weight. Put your hands out if you can, with the chair next to you so you don't fall if you feel like you're going to fall. It's harder than it looks, isn't it? This is going to be better time-based. I would suggest 20 seconds to start and then relax. Start with 2 to 3 sets of these just to get you comfortable with it. It's harder than it looks. Perfect. And then go ahead and swap legs. So I've got my left foot forward now. There you go. Perfect. Again, we're embracing our inner supermodel. If you've just had a hip replacement, please don't do this. Or have your legs just a little bit wider. Okay? All right. Everybody's comfortable there? Nobody fell over. It's fantastic. All right. So this next exercise, again, please use your chair or your walker or something that keeps you more stable. Like I said, the one thing that we do every single day is you do activities that you have to use just one leg. Okay? The best thing for people who've had traumatic brain injuries, for anything, balance, coordination, stability, you need to be on one leg at some point. And there's 100 ways to make it harder. But start with your hand onto a chair, either one hand or two hands. And what I want you to do is you can either do it this way, where you just bend, you stand on one foot. That's all you do. Believe it or not, it's harder than it looks. Yes, ma'am?
No, I'm just...
Oh, you're doing it. She's like, look, no hands, no hands. And all you're going to do is balance for about 30 seconds at a time. If that's too much, start with 5 seconds. If that's too much, if that's not hard enough, start with 10 seconds. So you do what you're comfortable with and you build from there. All it is standing on one leg. If that's not comfortable, you can always come forward with your hip and do it this way. This is more of a concussion test. Sorry. You remember this one. Now you're cheating. You're cheating. Take your leg away from the other leg. As soon as you if you're standing on one foot and you put your leg against the other one, your brain knows where it is now. So get it away from the other leg. There you go. No kissing knees. Knees don't kiss. All right, now go ahead and switch legs if you haven't already. It sounds like an easy exercise, but it's really not. And if you get to the point where you're doing a minute at a time and it is easy, then you can try closing your eyes, but please don't do that here. And make sure that if you do it with your eyes closed, that you do it with something that you're supporting yourself with on the back of a couch or a table or something that gives you some feedback. We want to challenge your brain, but we don't want to irritate it too much, okay? Everybody comfortable there? All right, let's do one more. Oh, they don't have it. You know what? I think I went past it. There it is. I went backwards. Now, if you do this exercise, we will all look like her. I'm kidding. I wish that was the case. This one is called the farmer's walk. If anybody's ever watched, if you've been scrolling through your channels and you found the strongman competitions, and you're wondering, why are they just picking things up and walking with it? It's called a farmer's walk. It's actually a very good exercise because what it does, it allows you to use your body in a controlled way while you're carrying weight. The important part about this one is if you decide to use weight with this exercise, make sure that it's the same weight in both hands. So that if you have a soup can in one hand and then you have a can of tomatoes in the other, there might be different weights. But if you have a bottle of water in each hand that's the same weight, then that's perfect. If you want to use little hand weights, if you have hand weights at home, that's perfect too.
How much weight does she have?
Too much. I think that looks like 45 pounds on each side to me. I mean, if I could do that, I'd look like that too, no? I have one ab. It's good the way it is. Okay, so this one, when you're holding weights, you are going to do it very intentional, okay? So the exercise is to roll your shoulders back, get your core in the good position, make sure you do your T and your S. You have something heavy in your hands, and you're just going to walk straight and have your heels and your toes the same width as your hips, okay? And you're going to do it intentionally, so you're stepping on your heel and rolling forward, stepping on your heel and rolling forward. What it does is it strengthens all of your postural muscles, but also challenges you a little bit with the weight that you're carrying, okay? So I'm going to go again this way. Again, shoulders rolled back, core in a good position. A little bit of weight in your hands, roll from your heel to your toe. Roll from your heel to your toe, just the width of your hips. Roll from your heel to your toe, okay? Now, most of these exercises you will see as foundational exercises in the Silver Sneakers class, okay? So if you've seen these before, that's where you may have seen them before, okay? Any questions on that one? It seems really remedial to walk with weight in your hands, but when you do it intentionally, it's actually a pretty decent exercise. And again, they put it on the strongman competition for internationally. I don't know why, but they do. All right, you can go ahead and have a seat because I think we're just about done. So there's lots of help that is out there. Okay, so your senior centers are a great resource for you. Okay, there's group classes like the Zumba and the yoga. There's chair yoga for those of you who are not comfortable. Tai Chi is a fantastic exercise for not just breathing and balance and relaxation and meditation, but they're also good for your flexibility. So there's Tai Chi classes that you can take. If you like to be a little bit more social, you can go to a gym. The Silver Sneakers are great. Sometimes you can do more than the Silver Sneakers classes. I would recommend if you join a gym, then you can always go in and talk to if you like the group classes, go in and talk to the instructor and just say, hey, look, I have some limitations. Can you help me if I don't look like I'm doing this well? And they're very, very good about helping you. That's what they're there for. If you wanted to, you could always take on personal training because they give you that individualized attention if that's something that you want to do as well. The class is through here, dancing, all kinds of things that you can do. Okay, again, what's really important is for you just to move, okay? And to do it in something that you're going to be able to do long term and to do it in a way that's comfortable for you, okay? And again, make sure that you talk to your physicians about what you can and can't do. Make sure there's things that you know. If there's things that you know you can or can't do, then great. If you don't know, please talk to your physicians and make sure they give you some direction. Have them write it down for you so that you can get some help with what's going to challenge you, but also keep you comfortable. Okay, is there any questions that I can answer for you right now? We're done a little bit early. I think that's a record. Yes, ma'am. I don't know if they have Silver Sneakers classes here at the senior center, but they do. I know that 24-hour fitness they do. I think LA Fitness used to. I don't know if they still do, but they do have Silver Sneakers classes. You can find those if you have that as part of your insurance. You can look it up and they'll give you resources. And a lot of times, if you have the Silver Sneakers or Silver and Fit, they'll pay for your gym membership. Yeah. Can you tell I used to work at a 24-hour fitness, so I know a little bit about that as well. Any other questions? And Zumba is great too. Zumba is a great way to keep yourself moving as well. All right, well, if there's any other, yes, sir. Okay, so the YMCA here accepts Silver Sneakers as well. That's a great resource for you all to look into. The good thing about the Silver Sneakers or the Silver and Fit memberships are that they only charge you if you go to the gym. So when you log into the gym, they'll charge your insurance, and the insurance does not charge you for it. It's a benefit through your insurance. But if you don't go, they don't charge your insurance for it, which is kind of cool. I think they would rather keep you healthy. But again, I think there's my opinion has always been that there's something that everybody can do. Everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has things that they're not comfortable with. But if you do the right movements, if you do the right activity for you, then you're going to be healthier and comfortable for longer. All right. Thank you all so very much. I will stick around if anybody has any individual questions, but I appreciate your time very, very much. All right.